Liu Yi has always been a loser his whole life. He lost his girlfriend. His job is trash like his face. He is 30 years old but still a virgin, and everything else has not been working out for him. But this time fate decides to play a game with him. His plane crashes on an island, and he gets stranded there along with many businessmen, superstars, and his ex-girlfriend. But luckily for him, he has the skill and talent for surviving anywhere. But the other survivors, however, were all useless, and they cannot survive on their own. So in order to survive, all the girls, including the pop star, supermodel, and various others, offered themselves to him, begging him to be their slave, and he lives there like a king. Sometimes later, on a bright and sunny day, on a beautiful deserted island, an unconscious man is washed ashore. As he regains his consciousness, he slowly opens his eyes and wonders where on earth he is. Suddenly, he remembers that he was on a plane and it crashed. And even though now he is on an unknown island, still he is very glad that he survived the crash and is still alive. But as he tries to get up, his whole body, especially his shoulders, hurts like hell, and it feels like he has been run through by a truck back and forth. But as a real Giga Chad, he simply shakes his pain off, saying whatever, and states to himself that it doesn't matter because even though what he encountered was a great disaster, he never knows because it might be a great blessing in disguise as well. Realizing it's a deserted island, he decides to look around, as there might be other people from the plane that had survived the crash like him. After some time, as he walks around, he notices someone nearby. Realizing that the girl is not moving, he quickly runs towards her, hoping that she is not dead. As he gets near her, he realizes that the girl is really thick in the places that need to be. And he starts thinking that seeing a woman like her, his hundreds of bachelor's friends would burst into tears and would do anything for her. Just then, he quickly comes to his senses, realizing that he should help her instead of drooling at her ass. As he tries to wake the woman up, he sees her face and quickly realizes that it is the sister of his ex from high school, and wonders why on earth this homewrecker skank is here. Her name is Guanling Yu, and back in high school he was very close to her and her sister Guan Sufei, so much that he can be considered as their bestie. But then ever since his little guy slipped into the hole of Guan Sufei, Guanling Yu became a different person. Not only did she always argue with him, but she would also always stir up the relationship between Sufei and him. And in the end, she used her family connection to kick him off to a different school so that he could break up with Sufei. Then, a few years back, he heard that Guanling Yu became the managing director of her family company, while his ex, Sufei, became a flight attendant, while he became just an army veteran. As he wipes the dust from her hair, he notices the scar that was left behind when he had an argument with her back in the past. Thinking that if she is here, maybe his ex might be here as well, and he is very happy thinking that his little guy can slip in her hole again. As he lifts her up, he tells her that she deserves to be in this state after all. She was the one that caused his breakup. Now that she is in her hands, he sarcastically tells her that he hopes that she doesn't have a short life. Then, he grabs her stomach, and he starts giving her back shots so that he can expel the water in her lungs to save her life. As she coughs the water out, she regains her consciousness, and as she notices Liu Yi, she gets confused and starts bickering like a bitch, stating, "What?" instead of thanking him for the back shots that saved her life. But like a real Chad, he simply ignores her stupidity and says that he knows that she hadn't seen him in a few years. But did he really become so handsome that she couldn't recognize him anymore? She gets annoyed, stating that no matter how many years she has not seen him, he still looks like the same dumb bastard that she hates. Liu Yi just replies that what can he say? There is always a woman who is blind in the eyes. With that, he asks her a question if her sister Sufei was here as well, and pretending like he doesn't care, he tells her that he hopes that she is not here as well. Ling Yu immediately replies yes. Sufei was in the plane as well and she was the flight attendant. Realizing that her sister is missing, she tells him that they quickly need to find her. She must be around here somewhere. And our MC, pretending to be like a hero, he shouts loudly, stating that Sufei please wait for him, because he will definitely find her. As they run around trying to search for Sufei, Ling Yu ends up tripping on a shellfish and falling to the ground, injuring her leg. As Liu Yi tries to help her, she slaps his hand off, saying not to touch her. But being a real Chad, he simply tells her that if she thinks he cares about her, well, he don't, and tells her to do whatever she wants. Ling Yu replies that she doesn't care about him either, and tells him to go and find Sufei. They continue searching for Sufei, but as they walk around, Liu Yi notices a strange man on the rocks. As he goes to check him out, he thinks that the man is probably dead, but his clothes are still intact. And as he tries to take the dead man's clothes, Ling Yu calls him disgusting, stating that he doesn't even spare to steal from the dead. Liu Yi tells her to shut her trap because she doesn't know shit, as there is no telling how many mosquitoes and beasts are there on this deserted island, and the temperature may drop at night, so if they want to live, they must be well prepared and do anything to survive. He hands her the dead man's clothes, telling her she can wear it or not. It's her choice, but don't blame him when she freezes to death in the night. Ling Yu reluctantly ends up wearing the jacket, and after some time, as they were searching for Sufei, they noticed 3 men in the jungle. Liu Yi immediately calls Ling Yu to follow him, stating that there is someone near the trees and it might be Sufei or the other survivors. As they rush towards the survivors, they noticed a bag hanging on a tree, so they stop for a second to take the bag, realizing that the bag must have fallen out of the plane. As he checks the contents of the bag, Liu Yi is really happy as there are quite a lot of useful things there, like a lighter, a watch, and other stuff that will aid them in their survival. But Ling Yu, being a dumb baboon, tells him that he is really greedy because even at such a time, all he can think about is stuff like this. Just then, a man suddenly calls out to them, stating that they should hand over whatever stuff they are holding. Liu Yi turns to the man and mockingly asks, "Who are you?" Because despite the human look, he can smell the scent of a dog. Annoyed, the man tells him that he is an idiot, not knowing who he is because he is the division manager of the Longley group named He Fei. Then he points to the man at the back, telling Liu Yi that he is a good friend of his, and he is the captain on the flight they were on. And he immediately tells him to hand over the item he got so that they can be returned to the rightful owner. And if he doesn't, there will be consequences for him. Hearing the name Longley Group, Ling Yu realizes that they are the sponsors of their airplane. But like a gentleman, Liu Yi politely tells He Fei that he doesn't know and trusts him. Besides, he was the one who found the bag in the first place, and so he will just keep it for himself until he finds the real owner. But deep down, Liu Yi is just bluffing because he actually needs the contents in the bag, especially the lighter and the watch, as these 2 things can actually help him to survive on this stranded island. He Fei simply tells Liu Yi that it doesn't matter even if the things are his or not, because they will immediately return it to him when they have done sorting out everything. Liu Yi is suspicious of this man, thinking, why is he taking things from others? Is there something fishy going on? But then, out of nowhere, they hear a familiar voice as Sufi immediately calls their name to meet them, and with a bright and happy face, they were really glad to have found her alive. Sufei asks both of them how they met each other, and if they are both okay and not hurt anywhere. With a happy face, Ling Yu asks her sister instead if she is okay. But then their happy meeting gets interrupted, as He Fei starts yelling at Sufei, asking her who the hell told her to come there, and immediately orders her to go back. With a trembling and worried face, Sufei tells the asshole that the 2 survivors he is taking to are her sister and her classmate. That's why she came to see them. Seeing all this, Liu Yi realizes that his instinct to not trust these people is right, because he can tell that the group is not treating Sufei well, and he gets really angry at the asshole seeing Sufei trembling like this. The asshole then tells Sufei that her sister can join them but not his classmates, and he orders her to tell Liu Yi to put down the bag. But our MC, the real Chad, simply tells He Fei that he will put it down when he wants to. But for now, how can he guarantee that he will not just try to take everything for himself? But suddenly, out of nowhere, the captain grabs Sufei's arms and covers her mouth, making Liu Yi and Ling Yu ask the captain what the hell he is doing and to let Sufei go. The captain's name is Old Yang, and He Fei tells him that Kid, our MC, is a prick, and he won't know how to behave until they fix him. With that, the 2 men start coming near Liu Yi with the intention to kick his ass. But they don't know that our boy is a retired army veteran, and as one of the men approaches near him, he gets hit with a powerful punch, immediately knocking him out. Liu Yi states that although he didn't go all the way with Sufei, he would never allow anyone to hurt her. The other men start rushing towards him, and as one of the men tries to land a punch, he ducks down and smashes his face with his knees and starts beating the shit out of everyone, including the captain and He Fei, and he manages to successfully save Sufei from these bastards. He Fei gets really pissed at him, so he takes out his knife, stating that he will kill him today. But the captain stops him, telling him to not mess around. He tells Liu Yi to go away as there is no room for people like him in this team. But Liu Yi, emitting a real manly aura, tells him, of course they will, but with a condition. Sufei must go with them as well, making Sufei leak her flush gates as she is really happy. But like a scared little puppy, He Fei panics and states that he cannot take her away, but mockingly, Liu Yi replies that if he wants her to stay, then he should ask her himself. Knowing the obvious answer, the captain tells Hefei to shut his trap and to let her go because they can't do shit to stop him. As they tried to leave, a boy suddenly tells Liu Yi to wait and begged him to let him and the other two girls come along with them. Normally, Liu Yi wouldn't want to accommodate newcomers, but in this case he thinks that having more people in his group means more strength, at least until the rescue team arrives. He tells them they are welcome to join him, and Liu Yi thinks to himself that the three people look like kind people anyways, and he hopes that nothing will go wrong. They thank him and introduce themselves as the male, Chen Song, the black-haired female, Millie, and the pink-haired female, Suzuru. Seeing all this, Hefei tells the captain, "Are they really going to let them go?" The captain tells him to let it be since those who dare to leave. Let's see if they can stay alive. After all, they have taken all their food and items. As Liu Yi and his group are walking, Liu Yi realizes that if he is not mistaken, the captain probably wants to monopolize all the supplies, because it was very suspicious of him to order his men to gather all the supplies from the survivors and put it all together under his protection. Knowing this, Liu Yi thinks that they should take some action against them, but for now, they need to find a temporary shelter first. Just then, Chen Song calls him, saying that there is a cave nearby, and Liu Yi thanks the Lord for finding a place to stay, as it is a great start for their team. He orders his group that from now onwards, he needs them to collect whatever kinds of useful items they see at the beach, such as plastic bottles, rags, and airplane debris, and bring them back to the cave. Then, he tells Chen Song that he is in charge of going to the beach to see if there are any small fish or shrimp so that they can catch them for dinner tonight. Ling Yu asks Liu Yi, what about him? What is he going to do if they are doing all the work? He tells her that he has more important things to do, as he needs to think of something so that he can protect the group from all kinds of dangers. Ling Yu is pissed at this statement, thinking he is just bossing them around. What an ungrateful skank. But her sister Sufei stops her, telling her that they should not fight. After all, Liu Yi knows what he is doing, and they should follow his orders. With that, they went to catch some food from the ocean, but sadly only Chen Song was working while the girls were just enjoying making themselves wet. In the evening, they meet back at the cave, and the girls were grateful to Liu Yi because he was the one who advised all of them to use the hollow vine as a water source. If not for his advice, they wouldn't have gotten any drop of water that night, as they knew that ocean water is salty, impure, and undrinkable. Chen Song praises him as well, telling him that he is really good at surviving in the wilderness, asking him if he has been in the army before. With gleeful eyes, Liu Yi replies that he was blessed to have gotten the opportunity to join the army, and he was able to serve the country for 5 years. And because of that, he was able to take part in a number of extreme survival courses in the wilderness, which he didn't think would be of use before, but now he realizes he was wrong. Ling Yu gets annoyed by his yapping, and like a little skank, she tells them that he is just boasting. After all, he only joined the army because he couldn't go to school. But Liu Yi, like a real gentleman, replies, "Is that so? Then since she despises him so much, she should just give him back the hollow vine, and she is free to go find her own source of water using her school's knowledge." They all laugh at her, and she gets really pissed. But Millie decides to break the ice by telling everyone that it's getting very late, and they should take an early rest. After all, it was a very long day. Liu Yi tries to recommend a sleeping group position, since they have only one place to sleep, stating that Chen Song and he will be at both ends, while the girls will be in between with Sufei next to him. Hearing this, Ling Yu decides to be a cockblock again, and tells him that Sufei will not be sleeping near him as she knows that he still has feelings for her and he might try something funny. Liu Yi tells her, so then according to her, she will be guarding him through the night by sleeping next to him. Ling Yu gets pissed at him, stating that who would want to sleep with a pig like him. Liu Yi replies, telling her to calm down, and besides, he forgot to tell her that there are snakes on this island, so don't blame him if she gets bitten. Ling Yu gets really terrified, and she tells him that he is just lying to her. After all, there is a fire in this cave. How can snakes be there? Just then, a gecko falls from the roof directly on her milk jugs, which scares the shit out of her, and she runs away from them crazily like she saw Diddy. But she ends up tripping and almost falling off the cliff. But like a real gentleman, Li Yi rushes towards her, saving her from death and cushioning her fall. As he lies there in pain, Liu Yi thinks that this woman is really a pain in the ass, but he forgets about it instantly as he sees her massive jugs. As he pretends that he didn't see anything, he mockingly tells her that it was just a gecko, and if she is scared of that small creature, then she would be scared to death if she really saw a snake. Ling Yu gets really mad at his insults, but Sufei stops their argument, telling them that he should rest first for now. Late at night, as everyone was sleeping, Liu Yi woke up thanks to Ling Yu sleep-talking about him. He thinks to himself, how much more trouble will this woman cause him? But her giant milker distracts him again, and he forgets about his frustration towards her. Suddenly, everyone wakes up to a weird noise. Liu Yi tells everyone that someone has triggered the trap he set for their protection, and they all become alert and get ready to fight the incoming invader. As Liu Yi and Chen Song went to check out the site where the trap was triggered, they noticed that the ones caught in the trap were none other than the captain and his goons. Liu Yi exclaims that he is glad he set up that trap. Otherwise, they would have been in danger. The captain tells Liu Yi why the hell did he set up that trap, and now that he got injured, what if his wound gets infected in such a place where there are no medical facilities? He calls it an international jury and says that Liu Yi will be in jail once they are rescued. Liu Yi laughs it off, stating that he didn't make the trap for them, but he made it for the wild animals so that he could guard the place they were taking shelter, and that it is their own fault for getting caught in the trap. Hefei gets furious at him, stating that if there are truly wild animals on this island, he will eat the knife as a dare. But unluckily for him, they suddenly hear a howl from a wolf nearby, and Liu Yi asks Hefei to fulfill his promise to eat his knife, and after that, they can leave that area. But luckily, the captain was smart, and he saved Hefei's life by telling him that it was all a joke to build up their friendship, and that they only came there to borrow a lighter they had, so that they could make a fire as well. But our MC is a smartass as well and tells them that there is no way they will lend their hard-earned fire to them so easily. Instead, he wants to make a deal with them. He will not hand over the lighter, but he will let them borrow the fire as a torch, but they need to exchange it with the food and clothes they have. Liu Yi is very confident that they will agree to their deal because he can tell that they were unsuccessful to make a fire on their own, and they guess that Liu Yi must have a lighter-type item here, so that's why they came in the middle of the night to steal it from him. And Liu Yi is correct, as the captain agrees to his condition and tells him that they would go back to get the stuff, while Hefei looked angrily at Liu Yi. Chen Song asked Liu Yi, will they really lend them the fire? Liu Yi replies that the situation they are in is very bad right now, and in this dire situation, the food and clothing are necessary to survive. After saying this, Liu Yi comes to the realization that as soon as they crashed, the captain started to monopolize the supplies, and even now he is ready to trade his stuff for the fire. Maybe the captain is aware that their chance and hope of being rescued is very low. After some time, the captain returns back with the stuff, giving them a small amount of their food and clothing, stating that this is the best they can do as they have a large number of people in their group. Liu Yi is displeased, so he tells him, how can he expect a torch from them for just that? If they really want to do a fair trade, then they should add in an extra weapon to compensate them for the low amount of food, as it is very difficult for them to always use a stick for their protection. Hefei is pissed at him, but the captain calms him down and tells him to give them his axe. Hefei had no choice but to agree, and as they leave, Liu Yi mockingly tells them to watch out for the animals, and he hopes he will see them again. Both the captain and Hefei are really angry and really wish to unalive him, but they just tucked their tails and went back to their camp. As Liu Yi enters the cave with the stuff he got, Ling Yu asks him, what did they talked about for so long outside? He gets annoyed by her, so he replies that he talked to them about how much he could get in exchange for her, but who knew that she was only worth 2 packs of instant noodles? She gets really mad and tells him to go unalive himself, but he simply ignores her and tells Sufei they should get some sleep while there is still time for dawn, as they need the energy to continue their search for food and water the next day. Sufei agrees, and she blushes while thanking him. A few hours later, the sun finally rises, and it's early morning. Millie exclaims that the air here is so fresh, and she thanks Liu Yi for giving her the opportunity to let her tag along with him to find water. Liu Yi had no choice but to agree after learning from her that she is an expert rock climber. He tells her that it's his pleasure, as it will save him a lot of time to have the help of an expert like her. Originally, he wanted to ask Sufei to team up with him, but the skank, Ling Yu, became crazy again, blocking him from being with her, and he had no choice but to let Sufei go with them to search for food. As they were looking around the island for water, Millie calls him, pointing to a water source below the mountain, and she suspects that it must have been collected from the mountain on the opposite side. Millie recommends that they should slip down the mountain to reach the water source using the branches of the large trees nearby. Liu Yi agrees, but he tells her that if she is really okay with this, climbing down that huge tree is not something to joke about, as they could die if they slip. She tells him not to worry and to trust his teammates. With that, Liu Yi checks the tree, and he tells Millie that this tree is quite sturdy, so he will go over it first, and then he will reach out and pull her. Liu Yi climbs on top of the tree, and using the branch, he swings himself towards the other branches. As he calls Millie, it is safe, and she can follow him. He gets confused seeing Millie so shocked. He asks her what is going on. She tells him to not move as there is a snake behind him. Liu Yi is calm, but as the snake lunges at him, he uses his military skills to disarm the snake and catches it by its neck. But as he tries to kill the snake, he realizes that he gave the axe to Chen Song. Since he doesn't have anything on him right now, his only option is to use his teeth, as it is the sharpest part of a man's body. So he bites the snake, killing it, and he is really glad that it worked. Millie is very impressed by his skills, and as she leaps toward the branch, she intentionally pretends to slip and hugs Liu Yi, telling him that he is really amazing, and kissing him on the cheeks. Liu Yi folds as he blushes like an idiot, while Millie swings away to a nearby branch. After a while, as they reach back to the base, Liu Yi is disappointed with the food gathering team, telling them that all the mushrooms they brought are uneatable. Sufei and the others get really sad as they thought they could fill their stomachs today with those mushrooms. But sadly, all their hard work was for nothing. Seeing this, Liu Yi pats Sufei's head, explaining to her that most of the mushrooms that are too bright are toxic, and it's normal for amateurs like her to get it wrong, so she should not be too hard on herself. Lingyu buds in, saying, "What the hell are they going to do for dinner tonight? After all, just a few coconuts and the snakes they brought won't be enough. This ungrateful skank." But as a gentleman, Liu Yi simply ignores her, telling everyone that there is still time until the sun goes down. He urges them to follow him, and he will be taking them out somewhere. But sadly, he only takes Millie, Lingyu, and Sufei to the beach, telling them he found the beach while exploring with Millie today, and explaining that it's just the right time for low tide right now, and they can easily have a great harvest. Millie pulls the two girls to play in the water as it is in the perfect temperature right now. Seeing this, Liu Yi wonders if women really have an innate obsession and desire for water. And seeing the beautiful view, he thinks to himself that he would have really enjoyed this kind of view had they not been in a crisis situation. As the girls get themselves wet, he starts doing his work to hunt for food. He narrates that the good stuff lurks in the sand and the shallow water, so all he has to do is grab his hand underneath the water. And with that, he is able to catch a shellfish and explains that it may look easy, but it is a technical task, and those who don't know how to do it will not even get a single one even if they try 100 times. And he is really glad that he was able to learn this skill during his army days. He was able to catch a lot of shellfish and is very happy because there will be no shortage of food for a few days. But suddenly, he hears screams coming from the girls. He asks them what's going on, and Lingyu tells him that there is a snake here. Hearing snakes, he tells them to stay where they are, and he will be right there in a while. As he rushes towards them, he is really worried because the sea snake is highly venomous, and with their current condition, a single bite from it means death. But as he reaches near them, he realizes that they are wrong, telling them it's not a snake but an eel, which surprises the girls. Liu Yi is really happy to see this, and tells them that the eel is at least 6 or 7 pounds, and it will be a good addition to their meal. He tells them to step back a little, and he immediately strikes it with his axe, and he is able to catch it. All the girls jump in happiness, thinking that not only will there be snakes for dinner tonight, but there will be fish as well. Just then, with a smirking face, Lingyu asks Liu Yi to guess what she found. He replies, "A hairy cat? I mean crab." She ignores him and reveals it's a metal sheet, stating that they can fry things on it and use it for barbecue as well. Liu Yi rejects her idea and tells her they can use it as a pot. He takes the sheet and using a rock, he bends it, turning it into a pot, and Lingyu gets really impressed by his idea. Suddenly, Liu Yi realizes that birds are flying at low altitude and the tide is rising. He realizes that it is going to rain that night. So, he calls the girls and tells them that they should head back and start preparing dinner early that night. Later that night, everyone enjoys a lavish meal, and Liu Yi tells everyone that it's been ages since he had such a satisfying meal. But the skank starts bitching again, saying that he really looks like a pig after eating so much. Liu Yi replies that it looks like the skank is looking down on their meal. But then why is she holding the food in her hand to eat? She gets pissed again, but Sufei manages to calm them down again. Liu Yi is very happy because a few days ago, when they crashed on this island, he was really worried about not being able to find food, but now he is more worried about having too much left over. Therefore, he decides to slowly bake the seafood, turning it into dry fish so that he can preserve the leftover seafood, because they never know when the environment there might suddenly change. Suddenly they hear a loud thunder sound, and Liu Yi tells everyone to stop eating, and they need to rush outside as they have something to do before the heavy rainstorm hits them that night. They were surprised at hearing about the heavy rainstorm, and as they rushed outside, Liu Yi told them to first pile up those extra trunks left behind at the entrance to the cave, and then lay branches and leaves on top to avoid water pouring in, so that they would stay dry. Liu Yi begins digging a hole outside using his axe, and as Millie asks him if he is planning to make more traps again, Liu Yi explains to her that he is digging a hole to collect the rainwater, as it is the most natural form of pure fresh water, so that they won't have to go pick for coconuts the next day to use as water, which are not endless after all. Hearing this, Millie decides to help him. After a while, the rain starts pouring, accompanied by strong and very cold winds. Due to the cold wind, Chen Song couldn't bear it anymore, and he told Liu Yi that he would go outside to take his clothes back that they had covered with branches and leaves to keep them dry. Liu Yi tells him it's useless to go because the wind has now reached above dry level, and it will be lethal for him. As they shiver from the cold, Liu Yi realizes that this is going to be a problem. If the rain continues like this, the same cave that is their shelter will become their grave. As Sufei tells him that she is cold, he gets really worried because if they catch a cold here, the consequences would be really unbearable. So, he tells everyone to stay close together to keep their body temperature up. As the cold winds blow towards them, they shiver from the cold, and with tearing eyes, Suzuru asks Liu Yi if they are going to die because of the cold. She really doesn't want to die like this after all. She has never even had a boyfriend in her life. Liu Yi just ignores her and grabs Sufei, telling her, "Don't worry too much. The storm will soon be over, and they can easily survive it. All they have to do is just wait until the rescue team arrives to take them back home." Chen Song looks towards Suzuru, telling her that Big Brother Liu is right, and maybe after they get back home, they can go to the wilderness survival competition together, and Millie adds that with their current experience, they will surely be in first place. Suzuru cheers up, saying, "Yes, we are going home together." But deep down in his heart, Liu Yi knows that there is a very slim chance of that. He only said those comforting words to motivate them to survive, because as long as they are alive, there is always hope. The reason Liu Yi chose this site as their camp, even though it was in a very poor condition and very risky. He had no choice because he was afraid that if the rescue team came, it would be very difficult to find them if they took shelter in other places. But by the way things are going, they will have to find a better shelter in order to survive for a longer period of time. Realizing that if they are in such a bad state right now, he wonders how the captain and his group are holding up there. Right on cue, a thunderstrike occurs, and the captain's group is in huge trouble as they have no proper shelter to protect themselves from the storm. They cling to the trees, praying for their dear lives, and Hefe tells everyone to huddle up and grab onto each other if they want to live because they need to keep their body temperature up. Then suddenly one of their men drops to his knees, and he wasn't waking up. The captain is really worried, but he can't do shit about it. After some time, the rain finally let up. Liu Yi tells everyone that they need to get out of their soaking wet clothes, or they will catch a cold. He strips his clothes while the girls enjoy seeing his masculine body. But Ling Yu, as usual, pretends that she didn't like it, asking him what the hell he is doing, warning him why he wants their clothes off, as this is no time for such misdemeanors. Liu Yi tells her to stop yapping, get her dirty thoughts out of her head, and follow his instructions. Otherwise, if they catch a cold right now, it will be their death. But Millie, the real cutie, follows her daddy's instruction immediately, and she strips down, telling the other girls not to worry. She will be their shield and stop the boys from seeing them stripping. Seeing this beautiful scene, Chen Song falls to the ground bleeding from his nose while Liu Yi, the real Chad, pretends it didn't affect him, and he turns back. But inside he thinks that undressing right now is necessary for their survival, but this scene is still too exciting for a single guy like him. As they dry themselves in the fire, Liu Yi knows that it is very hard to burn a fire in this wind, but they have no choice, and have to adjust with the little warmth they are getting from the small fire. But he knows that this is not enough for this many people, especially since they are naked, and they must do something to keep their body temperature up during the time it takes for their clothes to dry. Just then, Liu Yi comes up with an idea, and he tells everyone to grab some tools or sticks so that they can dig a hole there. Because not only will they be able to use the soil to fill the water damage on the ground, but it can also give them a dry and warm place to rest. Su Fei is impressed by his ideas, but Ling Yu is pissed at him again for not coming up with the earlier saying that he must have been hiding the idea so he could see them naked. Liu Yi gets mad, but as always, Su Fei calms the situation down. The next day, the storm has calmed down, and it is a beautiful morning, and Liu Yi thanks the Lord for not abandoning them as they managed to survive the night. With that, he tells everyone to go look around for any dry branches that haven't gotten wet yet, as they need to start the fire again. As he tells Millie to put some water in the pot he made so that he can prepare a healthy soup as their breakfast. A huge crowd comes towards their camp. It is the captain and his group. He asks Liu Yi that this is an emergency. He begs him to help them. As the girls go inside the cave, Liu Yi wonders what the captain is planning by bringing such a huge crowd, as he is very suspicious of him. With an obedient and castrated look, the captain tells him that due to the heavy storm last night, it completely destroyed their camp, and 4 of his people died already. And since he has fire here, he begs him to let them join his group as well. Liu Yi tells him that he can lend him a torch, but other than that, he doesn't have anything to offer him. After all, Liu Yi is no philanthropist, and he is not willing to babysit anyone for free. The captain closes in on his face, and with a creepy smile, he tells him he can't say that. He just wanted to cooperate with him. He tells him to think about it. He points at his people and tells him that these people used to be famous figures, and as long as they don't give up on them, when they return to the real society, they will definitely give them a lot of benefit. He further tells him that he will not be taking his stuff for free because he recently set up a trending company in the society, and it is very successful, and he has only one daughter who is the same age as him, and if he helps him till the rescue team arrives, and once they go back, he can give him everything he wants, including his daughter. Right on cue, all the famous figures start begging him, telling him that if he can help them, they are willing to give him everything he wants. Money, power, women, and various others. Even the girls who are very hot, famous artists and entrepreneurs, beg him to pick them, offering him everything, and they are willing to do anything for him, even that. Liu Yi is really surprised, and he knew the captain was up to no good. But this is the extreme, as he is just morally trying to kidnap him. Liu Yi thinks to himself that it is ironic, as before he came there, he was in all sorts of bad luck and his life was literally in shambles. But now on this deserted island he has become a noble, or perhaps a king that everyone is looking up to. Just then both Su Fei and Ling Yu grab his arms and tell everyone, why should Liu Yi give them whatever they want? They should stop dreaming. After all, what they can give to Liu Yi, both the sisters can give to him as well. Ling Yu tells them that they should not kidnap people morally like this, and that they can't threaten others with money. Su Fei adds that instead of trying to rely on someone else, they should do things on their own, and Liu Yi will not be giving them anything. Liu Yi is shocked at the attitude and protective behavior of both the sisters, and he gets sentimental. But like a tsundere, Ling Yu tells him that she didn't say all that for him. She is just looking out for herself, and Su Fei tells him to not worry, as they will always be with him. Liu Yi is very happy to hear this, and he tells everyone that Ling Yu and Su Fei are right. They can't afford to take a large number of people like them in their group, and he sarcastically tells them they are all better than him in terms of intelligence and money. So he urges them to not give him a hard time, and he is willing to only lend them his fire and everything else they have to get it with their own efforts. The captain is really pissed at the 2 sisters for ruining his plans, and he pretends to be sick, begging Liu Yi that he understands that Liu Yi will not accept their offer, but at least for now, lend them some food to eat as they lost everything. Liu Yi tells them that they have only a little bit of dried fish left, and he is willing to give it to them, but they must share it. They were all happy to hear this, and they immediately rushed inside the cave to take the food. Liu Yi thinks to himself that it may be a bit hypocritical to say this, but he really couldn't see this situation happening. As the group leaves the cave with food in their hands, He Fei, with a creepy smile, tells Liu Yi that he is really too naive, and he leaves. Just then, Su Fei informs Liu Yi that those bastards stole all their food, and there are not even a few bottles of water left for them. Chen Song further tells him that he is too generous, as he gave everything to them. But now what are they going to do as they have nothing left to eat? How will they survive? Liu Yi is really angry at those bastards and states that now it's the real-life version of the farmer and the snake. Liu Yi had a glimmer of humanity in his heart, but since they wanted to kill everyone, he will not be so polite in the future. The girls were mad as well, stating that they were not big shots in the real world, but probably bandits. As Liu thinks about what to do now, he tells everyone that they should stay there, and he will be going somewhere by himself. Mila requests to let her tag along, to which Liu Yi agrees. He wishes that if all the members of his group had some wilderness survival skills like Millie, at least they could have survived on their own, even if something were to happen to him. After that heavy rain, the seawater becomes high, and there is no hope of catching anything at the seaside. His only option now is to try his luck in the forest. As they scan through the jungle, Millie tells him that they should go somewhere else, as they have been searching here for hours and they couldn't find anything. Liu Yi tells her that they should search for a little while longer. If they don't find anything, then they will leave. Suddenly they hear a loud roar, and the two of them are afraid, thinking it must be a big animal. Liu Yi tells Millie to stop moving as they might have accidentally entered a territory of some wild beast. Right on cue, the beast shows itself, and it turns out to be a black bear. Millie wonders why there are black bears here since they are supposed to be living in the colder temperate regions. Liu Yi is really worried because he knows that black bears are very dangerous and ferocious animals. Not only is their skin thick, but they also have a very strong body and powerful strength, and they are able to move very quickly. He knows that the two of them would never be able to outrun it. But knowing that the brain of the black bear is not that flexible, he thinks that maybe he can use his axe and take advantage of this situation. Like a real gentleman, he tells Millie to go first while he holds it off because he knows that he can put up a fight with the bear on his own, but he can't guarantee that he will be able to protect Millie at the same time. Therefore, it's better to get her off the range of the black bear first. But sadly, luck wasn't on his side, as Millie ends up tripping on a vine and falling to the ground. The bear immediately lunged himself towards her, but thankfully Liu Yi managed to distract it by throwing a stone at its head. He taunts the bear to come after him as he is much more tastier than that skinny woman. The bear realizes it's true and immediately runs after him, and Liu Yi tries to escape from its claws. But Liu Yi is no ordinary man. He had made precise calculations to lead the bear into a trap, and as the bear closes in on him, he counts 4 meters, 3 meters, 2 meters, and finally 1 meter. He immediately stops, and as Millie wonders why Liu Yi has stopped moving, thinking that Liu Yi is probably trying to be bait to save her life, the bear tries to strike Liu Yi with its claws, but it fails as its claws end up striking a tree, saving Liu Yi's life. But this was all according to his plans. He immediately jumps to the blind side of the bear and swings his axe right at the base of its neck. Millie is surprised, but Liu Yi is disappointed as the bear is still alive. Since its skin was too thick, the wounds caused by him became too shallow. The bear roars at him and immediately goes berserk. Liu Yi knows that he is in deep shit because a wounded black bear is more dangerous than a normal one. Realizing that a 1 meter distance is not safe for him at all, he decides to put more distance between them. But before he can do that, the bear manages to land a strike on him, launching him near the vines. His axe gets stuck in the vines, and he knows that if he loses his weapon there, it will be the end for him. The bear lunges at him, but luckily his axe gets free from the vines, and as the bear tries to bite his face off, he manages to put the axe right between its mouth, saving his life. But using its bear strength, the bear launches both him and his axe in the sky. But in the process, the bear gets stuck in the vines, providing a good opportunity for Liu Yi. Using the momentum from falling back to the ground, Liu Yi strikes the bear with his axe directly on its head, killing it instantly. Liu Yi is really glad that it's finally over, and Millie rushes towards him, asking if he is all right. He tells her that he is okay, and they need to call the other members of the group to help them carry the bear, and they will be having a bear feast tonight. Millie jumps in excitement. Later, as Chen Song and Millie are carrying the bear to their camp, Ling Yu and Su Fei are really terrified of it, but they end up enjoying the feast anyways. As they have their feast, Millie thanks Liu Yi because if it wasn't for him, she wouldn't be alive, and they wouldn't have been able to enjoy such a meal. And Chen Song adds as well, telling him that it's all thanks to him that they are surviving for so long. He tells them that it's not only his effort alone. After all, everyone has helped him as well. But like always, Ling Yu destroys the mood by telling him that he should not be so proud of himself and that he should be careful next time onwards. Otherwise, he will become a dinner for the bears. Suddenly, He Fei and the other members from his group enter their camp, telling Liu Yi that he can see that he is really having a good time eating and he has heard that he has got hundreds of pounds of meat. So obviously he can't eat it all by himself, and he will have to give them a share as well. With an annoyed face, he tells them that they are the ones with thicker faces than the city walls, so if they want to eat, they should find it themselves. Liu Yi realized that these bastards had been watching them the whole time, because as soon as they came back from the hunt, they came right after them. He Fei, pretending to be sad, calls him brother, telling him they are not here for trouble. They are only here because they are all companions, and they should look after each other. The other two guys tell Liu Yi that Hefe is right, and they are coming in right now to get their share. Liu Yi is pissed at them, telling them to get out. He risked his life to get this meat. Why should he give it to them? And whoever dares to touch his meat will first ask if his axe agrees. Hefe tells his men not to worry about his threat. After all, he does not believe Liu Yi will dare to kill anyone. If he does, they will report him when the rescue team arrives in a few days, and he will be in jail. Besides, there are so many of them. If Liu Yi really dares to fight, they can easily kill him. Hearing this, Chen Song tells Liu Yi to let him and the girls help him as well, as they are not willing to back down that easily, and they immediately get ready to fight. Millie mocks them by saying, "Come on, let's see which one of them dares to fight their group." Liu Yi is really happy to hear this because he never thought that Chen Song and the others would choose to come out and help him. He is glad that he chose them as their team. Seeing this, Heifei backs down because he knows that Liu Yi is no ordinary man to deal with, and now with his team's support, their group is a high threat to them. As Heifei tries to leave, his men calls him a pussy, thinking that it's just a few women and a muscle man. They can easily deal with it. Heifei tells them to shut up because they don't know who they are dealing with. Just then, he comes up with an idea and tells Liu Yi that since they don't want them to snatch their meat, they need to send someone to negotiate terms with them. He further tells him that Liu Yi himself can't do it, and they don't want to negotiate with women. So, pointing at Chen Song, he tells Liu Yi that they should have him come over and talk with them. But Liu Yi is smart, and he knows that Heifei couldn't fight against him head-on, so that's why he is targeting Chen Song. He thinks to himself that he doesn't know what they will be negotiating, but he knows they will be the ones who will lose out in the end. And knowing that Chen Song is the only male other than him in this group, he decides to toughen him up and tells him that he should go with them but to be careful. Heifei grins, thinking Liu Yi is an idiot, and he takes Chen Song to the corner of their camp telling him, "Let's talk heart to heart. Since they won't allow them to rob his group, how about they trade items?" Ling Yu asks Liu Yi why he isn't following them to take a look. What if they make a move on Chen Song? With a confident look, he tells her that Heifei didn't let Liu Yi talk to him because he was afraid that he would attack him. He is not that stupid to attack his teammate because Heifei knows that they don't stand a chance against him. After some time, Chen Song returns, and he tells Liu Yi that he made a deal with them that they wouldn't come after their meat, but demanded that they tell Heifei where to find the bear meat. Originally, Heifei wanted to take half of their meat, but Chen Song told Heifei that Liu Yi would definitely not agree to that. He also threatens them that Liu Yi will beat the shit out of them if they make any more unreasonable demands. Suzuru and Millie laugh at this because they never thought that Chen Song could even threaten people. Liu Yi has an uneasy feeling in his heart because the deal was too smooth and easy. He thinks that Heifei and the others must have a plan, and he decides that he needs to take precautions tonight. Chen Song looks very suspicious and nervous, and he touches his pants, looking like he is up to no good. Later that night, Liu Yi wakes up again at midnight thanks to Ling Yu sleep-talking, and he wonders what time it is. Just then he realizes he fell asleep until midnight, and he was supposed to change with Chen Song for the night shift lookout. He thinks now they are totally screwed, but then realizes Chen Song is not there, including his meat, water, axe, and pot. They are all gone. He realizes that Chen Song has betrayed them. He wakes all the girls up, telling them all their stuff has been stolen. All the girls panic and wonder where Chen Song is, as it was his duty for the night watch. With an angry look, Liu Yi tells them they were betrayed and they should immediately head to the captain's camp, and he is sure that Chen Song would probably be there. As they reach the camp, they notice Chen, and Liu Yi tells all the girls to keep it down and to find a place to hide, as they cannot let them find out that they are awake. As Liu Yi closes in on Chen Song, he notices that he is with two girls by his side, where they are praising him for smartly putting sleeping pills in their food to knock them out. As he grabs their ass, this traitor tells them it is all Heifei's plan. He just had to execute it. Millie is really angry, as she never thought that Chen Song would betray them like this. Liu Yi realizes that Heifei wasn't looking for a soft target, but used the benefits of temptations to make Chen Song betray his own group. Sufei asks him what they should do since they took all their resources from them. Liu Yi tells her he has a plan, and he notices that the captain and Heifei are not there. And it seems what Chen Song told them earlier was true. They really must have gone to the place where he found the black bear. As Liu Yi is waiting for an opportunity so that he can take his axe back, they hear a loud voice, with the captain telling everyone to run for their lives as there is a big boar that is coming right behind him. Liu Yi immediately tells the girls that they need to get away from there or they will be caught in the crossfire. As Liu Yi and the girls hid behind a giant rock, they could see the group shaking from fear, and Hefei is right in front of the boar, holding an axe in his hand. The boar charges right towards Hefei, flipping him towards the sky, and it rams through one by one against all the members of their group. Everyone begs for help and pleads for their lives, but the bastard captain uses his group members as a human shield as the boar chases after him. Liu Yi and his team just laugh at them, stating that they deserve everything that's coming to them. Suddenly, the captain notices Liu Yi, and he immediately calls his name, begging him to save his life. He tells him that he is just in time to do something for his friend. Otherwise, all his friends, the survivors, will die out at this rate. Liu Yi tells them that he doesn't give a shit, as they were the ones that caused the problem, so they should figure it out themselves. Ling Yu adds that when they are in trouble and need their help, Liu Yi becomes his friend. But why didn't he think of Liu Yi as his friend when they stole his stuff? Hefei cries, telling him that he knows that he is wrong for using Chen Song like that. But what can he do? He is just trying to keep everyone alive. With so many people without food, he couldn't just let them starve to death. The captain also tells him that they are all his companions, and they should help each other. Liu Yi sighs, thinking to himself that although the captain and his group have repeatedly challenged his bottom line, if he really does nothing to save them, then what is the difference between him and them? He tells Hefei, do they really think that he is dumb enough to help them without reason? How about he gives him back his axe? Then maybe he can think about helping them. Besides, the axe is so useful that he must keep it in his own hands always. Hefei immediately gives him his axe back and begs him to hurry up and save his life. Liu Yi juggles with the axe and thinks to himself that although the axe is not the most powerful weapon, in their current situation, this is the best thing he can have. The captain tells him that since they return his axe, he cannot go back on his words to save their life. Liu Yi gets annoyed by their attitude. He turns his back towards them and tries to leave, but he feels a bit pity for them. So he advises them to use a fire torch, as most animals are afraid of fire, especially those with fur on their bodies. Not to mention the wild boar has its own pine oil. As long as it is ignited, no matter how powerful it is, it will flee. Hearing this, the captain realizes that there is still a fire at their camp, so both he and Hefei immediately rush towards their camp. Liu Yi and his gang head back to their own camp as well. But as they were walking, he tells the girls that they can't stay in their cave any longer, and they need to find a new location. Ling Yu asks him why. After all, there is plenty of food to be found near their camp, and they are even closer to the sea, so if they move out, the captain and his group will easily get all that resources for free. Hearing this, Liu Yi flicks her head, telling her that she has good common sense, but a very low IQ. He starts explaining to them about the disadvantage of staying there. Firstly, they have too many evil neighbors who could take away any of their hard-earned food at any time. Secondly, their camp is mainly made of mud during the storm a few days ago, so the cave can easily collapse if the wind and rain are too heavy, which will have a serious implication on their safety. Thirdly, it is also a headache for him, because he knows that the captain and his group will try to hunt the wild boar once again, and if they fail, they will come wagging their tail to him once again. Sufei asks Li Yi that if they are far from the sea and the crash area, what if the rescue team arrives and they miss the opportunity to be rescued? Liu Yi tells her that he has thought about that too, but sadly there is not a better solution at the moment, so they will just have to try and look for a suitable rocky cave near the coast. Millie tells them not to worry, as they will trust his decision because he has more experience than any of them there. With that, they begin their search for their new camp, and after a while, Liu Yi spots something, so he tells the girls that they should take a break there first, while he goes to take a look at the place he saw, saying that it looks like flat land, and it might be suitable for their new shelter. As he heads to the location, Millie tells him to be safe, while he thinks to himself that he is the only man in the team now, and therefore he will need to work harder for the girls. Otherwise, they won't be able to survive. As he jumps down the rocky hill, he spots something and wonders why there are identical sets of stone piles arranged in 2 rows. Judging from the weathering of the stones, he estimates that it's at least 5 years old, and it definitely doesn't look like it's naturally formed. As he goes near it, he thinks that someone must have come to this deserted island around 5 years ago, and this pile of rocks looks like it was to bury someone. He wonders where the living who buried these dead people went then. Did he leave this deserted island somehow? Or did he just die here? So to solve this mystery, he had no other way but to dig the grave to get the information he needed. He starts praying, stating that Underground Senior, Grandmaster, whoever you are, he will be digging this grave, and to please forgive him. He apologizes in advance, saying he doesn't know who it was or how he died, but please forgive him. as he really needs the information. As he digs the grave, he knows that it is a taboo to dig someone's grave. After all, the dead should be given the greatest respect. He just hopes that nothing bad will happen to him. Just then, the girls arrive at his location, and they immediately ask him if he is going to build their new camp out of stones in that location. Liu Yi gets surprised, and he replies, "Of course not. He found traces of the survivors before them, and he is trying to find some information about them. So, he asks them to help him find the clues together since they have rested for long enough." Liu Yi knows that if he had told the girls that this was someone's tomb, he would surely be in trouble. That's why he didn't say shit. As they dig the grave, Liu Yi finds a puppet-looking thing. As he inspects it, he feels that it is not a simple toy like a puppet. It doesn't look like it has any value as well, so he wonders why it was buried here. Then, as he turns the face of the puppet to his side, he gets surprised seeing a face, and its eyes suddenly glow red and emanating a dark aura, shocking Liu Yi, and he falls to the ground. Millie tells him that the puppet looks like it was used for some sort of ritual by an ancient tribe, as she had read about them in an archaeological magazine. Ling Yu asks who would be so bored as to come to a deserted island to bury a puppet. Maybe there was once some primitive tribe residing on this island. Liu Yi tells her to stop scaring the others by making random guesses. But in any case, the puppet is an indication that the island was once occupied, and maybe they can find a clue afterward and manage to get out of that place. Su Fei agrees, stating that a clue is a hope, and they should probably not waste any more time as they need to find a shelter to survive. Just then, Liu Yi gets really surprised seeing a mark on his hand, as he never had it before, and he can't even rub it off. Seeing this, Ling Yu asks him what the hell he is doing standing and shaking his hand like a monkey. Is he too scared of that puppet? He should just man up and follow them, as they need to hunt for food. Liu Yi did not tell the girls about the mark, and he just ran towards them, while the puppet with a creepy smile stares at them and emanating a dark aura. After searching for a while for their new camp, they finally found one. They enter inside and realize that it is a really good place, with a dry and flat rocky floor, and close to the top of the hill. But Millie realizes something, and he tells them that this place feels like someone has lived here before. Just then, Suzuru notices something, and she rushes towards it and lifts a very heavy pot-looking thing. Seeing this, Millie gets really scared because she thinks that there are really some primitive tribes that are living on this island. All the girls get scared hearing this, and they clench Liu Yi, but instead of calming them down, he adds fuel to the fire by telling them that Millie is right. In case those people with bird feathers really live on this island, then they will surely try to capture beauties like them. With a scary warning, he warns them to be careful, as those people might use them to breed for their tribe. They get scared and get really mad at him on hearing this, but then Liu Yi tells them it's a joke and they shouldn't think about it. They need to worry about their own lives first. He tells Millie that she will be going with him to find water while the remaining girls will settle things there. It's finally morning, and they were able to find a water source. Liu Yi realizes that the mark he got last night has faded a little bit. He thinks to himself that the mark is really giving him a creepy feeling, just like when he touched the puppet. But he brushes it off, thinking it must be just a random mark, and he should forget about it and wait for it to dissipate on its own. After filling all the water bottles, which I don't know how they got, Millie tells him that they should head back. At the same time, Su Fei and the other girls manage to find food, and they are really happy thinking that Liu Yi will definitely praise them for this. As Ling Yu calls Su Fei to taste the sweet berries they found, she tells the girls that she will just keep it with her and decide that she won't eat it because she wants to keep it for Daddy Liu Yi because he has been working so hard for them for so long, but he hasn't eaten something so delicious, so he deserves to taste it first. This girl is so cute. Please marry me. Hearing this, Ling Yu decides to do the same thing as well, but she pretends to be a tsundere again, saying it's not for him, but for her sake. Later that night, as they enjoy their feast, Liu Yi is really impressed by the girls and tells them that they have collected enough potatoes to last them for days. But he just hopes that they haven't dug all the potatoes out of the ground, as that would mean their doom. Ling Yu gets annoyed by his statement, telling him, "What do you mean?" She hopes he is not planning to start a farm there. Liu Yi replies that he doesn't know how long they are going to be staying on that island, and he is a man who likes to prepare for the worst. After all, in a crash like theirs, under normal circumstances, the country would have formed a rescue team as soon as possible, but there hadn't been any sign of rescue for so long, so it might be possible that they don't even know about their situation. Su Fei punched his shoulder, telling him to not say such negative things because she doesn't want to be there for that long. With that, they decide to go to sleep, as it has been a long day. Ling Yu calls Su Fei to sleep near her, but realizing that they only have one place to sleep, Liu Yi immediately asks the girls where he is supposed to sleep. Outside? Hearing this, Millie tells him that he can sleep with her. But Ling Yu immediately gets jealous, telling him that he can't sleep with her. Just then, she immediately realizes what she just said. She blushes and lies that what she meant was, since Liu Yi will be sleeping near Millie, he will be near Sufei as well. What if he tries to do anything funny with her? That's why they should just let him sleep beside her, because she knows that he won't dare do anything to her. But like a real Chad, he rejects her offer, and he decides to sleep outside near the entrance of the cave. Ling Yu gets pissed at his rejection, asking him why he is pretending to be angry. Is it because of what she said? She further tells him that she knows what he is thinking. That is, he just wants to take all of them into his harem. Hearing this, he really gets shocked, and he thinks to himself that it is really not a bad idea. But he pretends to be mad, calling Ling Yu a crazy woman, and he doesn't care to explain anything to her. Liu Yi realizes that something is really wrong because he knows Ling Yu is very arrogant, but he has never seen her this crazy. Just then, Ling Yu calls his name, asking him what he is so afraid of. Just come here and do what he wants. If he is really a man, he should stop pretending. Liu Yi gets really surprised at her behavior. He tries to stop her from grabbing him, and he thinks that something really weird is going on here. Just then, Suzuru comes near him as well, telling him that Ling Yu is right. She starts stripping and tells him that if he is really a man, he should be bold enough to take her as well. Liu Yi is in deep trouble, but seeing that Sufei and Millie are unaffected, he calls them, stating to stop enjoying the show and come and help him. As he breaks free from the psychotic girls, he tells Sufei and Millie that these two girls must have eaten something weird because they are behaving like perverts. Hearing this, Sufei realized that in the daytime, they found some small wild fruits in the mountain where Ling Yu and Suzuru ate some. She didn't eat the fruit, but saved it to share it with him. But she got busy and forgot. That's why she is unaffected. As Liu Yi checks the fruits, he does not recognize the type of fruit it was, but Millie immediately recognizes it. It is a red rosemary fruit, and this fruit has the hallucinogenic effect that varies according to the environment it lives and grows in. Learning this, Liu Yi tells her that it is the same as drugs, so he asks Millie if there is anything that can be done to cure the girls. Maybe drink more water or something. Millie tells him that the only quick and effective way to cure them is to just let them do what they want and let them vent it out. And right now, the best thing for them to vent out is for him to make their floodgates flood. Liu Yi and Sufei are surprised on hearing that. Deep inside, Liu Yi's heart really wants to do it. But since he is a gentleman, he tells Millie that since she knows about the fruit, this can't be the only way to cure them. She must know some other ways as well. Millie tells him she does know one more way, but it is not such a good solution. He asks her to explain, and she replies that they just have to take a very cold bath, which may be dangerous since they might catch a cold. Liu Yi tells her that it doesn't matter, as they need to save them now and think about the future later. They take the girls to the beach and soak them under the water, and after some time, the girls return back to normal. Liu Yi is really worried because he did not expect that the girls would be in so much trouble just because he didn't watch them for a while. Therefore, he decides that he will be the only one to go hunt for food, as he doesn't want a second situation like this. Just then, Ling Yu is back to her senses, and she touches Liu Yi's cheeks, telling him she is sorry. Liu Yi hugs her and tells everyone that they should go back before they catch a cold.